Okay, what in the heck does that mean? Midas meet lower intestine. Well, today, if you've ever heard of the Midas Touch, right? Everything you touch turns to gold. I came up with a description of what I think I had today, which was the opposite of the Midas Touch. I've labeled it the lower intestine touch, which, if you picture lower intestines, everything you touch, they touch, turns to. I think you get it. And that's pretty much the kind of day I had. Express Scripts, I believe, was the first call I made today. Love this pullback into the rising 20. Called it right. Let's get the drawing tool going. I called it right over this red candle. So right there. And a stop right there. Maybe I tried to get too cute. So triggers, stops out. And then I told everybody, you know what, 5-minute candles on a stock like Express Scripts, as whippy as it is, probably not the way to go. I mean, of course, I said that after we were stopped out, but then went on to say on 15s you can clean up these whippy stocks, and give you. They have a wider trigger and stop, but you're less apt to get stopped or whipped out of them. Okay, so now you have this 15s setup, which means these are 15-minute candles. You've got a beautiful stair step down to the 8. I mean, this met all my parameters. Over this candle would be the long 56, 57, and a stop below it. Now look what happens. Triggers and never really looks back. Now, why did how does that meet my lower intestine theory? Well, because I took the 5s idea and then I did not take the 15s. So the intelligent idea of mine, I wasn't in and was in on the 5s. Now, believe me, I have more anecdotal evidence here than just the one trade. Let's see. Oh, Genome in the pre-market. Let's go to the daily. GNOM. In the pre-market, I showed this to our members. I said it's a lower volume stock. This was on our watch list. Well, it was in our pre-market watch list. I said it's a lower volume stock than I normally trade, but you got to love it over this base, and I think it's got a big short position. So my thoughts were, and this was in the pre-market, if it gets up to 305-ish, that's probably a good place to go long. Well, if you watch any of our videos, you know in the first 5 minutes of every day, for really the first 10 minutes, if for no other reason to keep myself out of trouble, but I'm building a list of high early volume stocks. Now, Genome would have made that list probably because it's relative volume, and it was having high relative volume. So the 305 area, and I think as far as I know, we only had one member grab this. I tried to stay out of the early whippiness, so I didn't take it. I would have preferred Genome triggered, 15 minutes in, then I would have called it for the room. Anyway, long story short, my idea, 305, I never did touch, and goes to 345, well over 10% move this morning. And actually, Genome could be multi-day. Very nice pop there, so identified it and made 0 from it. Oh, geez, what else? I will say Lionsgate. Ramesh, one of our members, mentioned Lionsgate. LGF when it looked like this. He said, hey, I like this tight base below the high of the day. I went ahead and looked at the daily, and at the time, Lionsgate had taken out. Now, let me get the drawing tool going again here. LGF had kind of taken out this support, right, first thing in the morning. And there's an example of what I just talked about. Oftentimes, the initial move, if you'd have thought below support there was a good short, the initial move, look what happens, it reverses. So I projected it for the room after Ramesh drew it to my attention, and I showed everybody in the room this idea. LGF over this tight base, I gave numbers 1322, worst case stop 1311. So 11 cents risk was my idea on Lionsgate, and that one worked great. 1322, it went to 1367. Very nice move on really pretty little risk. But that one, again, I can't claim the call, Ramesh. And I love teamwork in there, so I'm not taking anything away from the room. I'm just saying, hey, I don't even deserve credit for the best call of the day because one of our members pointed it out. Let me think. Oh, here's more evidence. OMEX. OMEX is actually a swing we have going in the room. Had a very nice move yesterday. People said, hey, should we take some off the table? I said, you have almost a 10% gain there. I would never tell anyone not to take, I think it's probably 7 or 8% from our average. So I said, you certainly, but anyway, I didn't take any off. I'm holding this through the spring or until they get some kind of news on that silver they're looking for. But my point is, and this is on the lower intestinal touch theory again, OMEX pushes to new lows for the day here, and then does this. And so I type in chat, and I wasn't calling anything. I just said, hey, pretty nice reversal there in OMEX. I typed it in. I'm still liking the action on this one right after typing that back to new lows. So I take full blame for that. I just had one of those days, you know, where should have stayed in bed. All right, let me think what else we had. A couple afternoon calls just came back to me in GM, General Motors. I actually called General Motors right over this little narrow candle here at 25.33 for the room. Worst case stop 25.26, and that was the low of the day. So anyone, but here's another example of me and how the kind of day I had. I took it here. I scalped about a dime on some, and I went to a break-even stop on the rest because after my morning I wanted to be ultra conservative, so I got stopped out on the rest right here. And then I called it again right over this little candle. I'll show you what it looked like. Right over this little candle here at 25.37. I got about a dime on some again, and then one of our members, ZOZO, one of our all-stars, put out the reminder that, hey, the FOMC minutes are getting ready to come out. So I had a very short leash, and when GM did this, I took the rest for just a couple pennies. So I'm out there for sandwich money. I got sandwich money on the first call, and GM never would have stopped out, at least for the original call that I showed you earlier. It didn't exactly tear it up either, but there's just an example. Because I just one of those days you could never quite do anything right and never quite get that one nice trade. So I don't mean to whine. Well, yeah, I do. I whine a lot. But anyway, that's it for the day. I could probably go on and show you some more, but I think that's about it. It was a couple. Oh no, I had a couple bottom feeding calls in GG because gold was getting slapped and stopped out twice. Pretty narrow range, and I also took it very small because it's a gold miner and they're pretty whippy. Although that doesn't look whippy, does it? So you add. I think I had two, at least 3 and maybe 4 stop outs today, and then I just after that I just said I'm done. I'm not used to getting stopped out that many times without at least scalping some in my favor first. So I just had one of those days, and I'll quit whining now. So have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys later.